Hey everybody, it's Ed. Alright, today's video I want to do just a little bit of a continuation from a video that I made yesterday, and that title of that video was something about Elvis being racist. So, when I was doing the video, I, as usual, was not prepared, and there was a particular article that I had read prior to doing the video that kind of inspired me to make the video, and I couldn't find it, but I have since found it. So I thought it would be fun to read this particular article that I was looking for yesterday that I could not find. And this happened to come from Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair. You know, I believe they're like a trade or an entertainment type publication. Maybe. I don't know. Forgive my ignorance. All right, but they had a headline, and that headline was Elvis, what did black artists of the era really think of Presley? Now, this was written by someone named Johanna Desta, and it was published on June 24th at 12:27 p.m. Doesn't give the time zone. However, the day that I am recording this is actually a day later, June 25th. So, the byline, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis Presley biopic shows the singer in harmony with artists such as B.B. King and Sister Rosetta Tharpe. But how true is that portrayal? Let's read, see what she has to say, and find out. I believe it's a she. Johanna, right? Oh, if I'm wrong, forgive me. I'm not quite sure. All right, now, I am going to give you the pleasure of reading this, well, you know what? This article, we'll leave it at that. I'm going to let you be the judge. Do you think this is a phenomenal article? Do you think that this is a mediocre article? Do you think that this is a piece of garbage article? Do you think this is an objective article? Do you think this is a subjective article? Let's read along together and find out. All right, so again, Elvis, what did black artists of the era really think of Presley? Baz Luhrmann's Elvis Presley biopic shows the singer in harmony with artists such as B.B. King and Sister Rosetta Tharpe, but how true is that portrayal? Again, by Johanna Desta. Let us begin. In 1994, Ray Charles sat down for an interview with NBC's Bob Costas and gave a scathing critique of Elvis Presley. Quote, to say that Elvis was so great and so outstanding, like he's the king? King of what? Unquote, Charles said. I know too many artists that are far greater, singers like Nat King Cole, who got assaulted by white audiences for performing rock music, while Elvis received widespread acclaim. Quote, he was doing our kind of music, unquote, Charles said. So what the hell am I supposed to get so excited about? Goes on to say, that lacerating soundbite, which went viral in 2020 and twice again this year, sums up a long-held stance against Presley. To some, he was not an extraordinary musical force, but rather a lucky culture vulture who made his name by copying moves from black artists and covering their songs. Presley, by virtue of his whiteness, profited in ways that black rock originators never could, and was called the king of the genre along the way. It's a topic that the new biopic Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann and starring hypnotic Austin Butler, tackles from the side. In the film, Luhrmann highlights artists such as Big Mama Thornton, who sang the original Hound Dog, Little Richard, an actual rock originator, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, an electric guitar pioneer, and B.B. King, the blues superstar who had a long, close relationship with Presley. In the film, Presley is in harmony with the black community. He goes to shows by black artists, strolls peacefully along Beale Street in Memphis, and goes suit shopping with King. It's all roses, no thorns. Presley's only critics are racist white authority figures and white journalists who find his work provocative because of its proximity to blackness. All right, but it is with But is that the truth of the era? Elvis takes great care to show the origins of the singer's musical stylings, putting the spotlight on the black artists who inspired him. It also shows how Presley felt about these musicians, reverent and awestruck, but stops short of showing how they felt about him. Did Big Mama Thornton have an opinion about Presley becoming a superstar by covering her hit song? And similarly, did Sister Rosetta Tharpe or Little Richard care about Presley mimicking their styles for the masses? Was B.B. King really such a big advocate for the future superstar? The truth about these questions, it turns out, runs the gamut. It's true that Presley grew up in a poor, mostly black neighborhood in Tupelo, Mississippi, and in his youth attended the black churches that inspired his deep love of gospel music. As a teenager, when his family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, he would go to the East Trigg Avenue Baptist Church and attend services by Reverend Herbert Brewster, common pastime for rebellious white teens in the area. According to music writer and filmmaker Nelson George, who worked as a consultant on Elvis. While doing his research, George interviewed numerous black people who knew Presley when he was young. What did they say? Well, that he was this little weird white kid. That he was this weird little white kid, George told Mojo Media with a laugh. Elvis was an outlier. The movie also accurately portrays Presley's relationship with B.B. King. In a 1996 interview with Charlie Rose, the blues icon remembered seeing the singer in the studio in the early 50s before he was a star. He was okay, King said of Presley's early output, but as Presley developed, he, quote, started to turn heads, including mine. He had everything, the looks, the talent. The duo became friendly. As he became more successful, Presley would also help King land gigs. And over the years, King would defend his friend from accusations of cultural theft. Quote, music is owned by the whole universe, King said in a 2010 interview. It isn't exclusive to black man or white man or any other. He says in the 1996 autobiography, Blues All Around Me, King wrote, Elvis didn't steal any music from anyone. He just had his own interpretation of the music he'd grown up on. And same is true for everyone. I think Elvis had integrity, unquote. All right, so that was from B.B. King. To continue, we have Little Richard, however, had a differing view from the King. In a 1990 interview with Rolling Stone, he spoke frankly about how Presley's whiteness helped his career. Quote, if Elvis had been black, he wouldn't have been as big as he was, Richard said. And if I was white, do you know how huge I'd be? If I was white, I'd be able to sit on top of the White House. A lot of things they would do for Elvis and Pat Boone, they wouldn't do for me. All right. But Richard did credit Presley and Boone, who covered Richard's hit Tutti Frutti, great acclaim, with helping introduce rock music to white audiences, which benefited some black artists. He was also friends with Presley, speaking fondly of the singer after his death in 1977. Quote, I love him. That's my buddy, my baby, Richard once said. Elvis is one of the greatest performers who ever lived in the world. Though Richard firmly credited himself as the architect of rock and roll in that Rolling Stone interview, he also paid homage to Sister Rosetta Tharpe, the gospel singer played in Elvis Biola, who pioneered the use of the electric guitar was the godmother of rock and also an early influence on Presley. Elvis loved Sister Rosetta, said Gordon Stoker, a vocalist for the Jordanaires, a group that sang for both Tharpe and Presley in Rolling Stone. Presley was especially impressed by the way Tharpe played the guitar. That's what really attracted Elvis, her picking. He liked her singing, but he liked that picking first because it was so different. But because Presley was designated the king of rock and roll, Tharpe's influence was overshadowed in popular culture for decades. Even worse, some critics assumed she was copying him, rather than the other way around. In 1970, Tharpe performed at the American Folk, Blues, and Gospel Festival in London and was described by one critic as, quote, so rhythmically exciting that when she accompanies herself on guitar, she might be a blacked-up Elvis in drag. According to Gail Wald, author of the biography Shout, Sister Shout, the book doesn't note how Sister Rosetta felt about that review, nor how she felt about Presley specifically. But while Tharp's opinion is more of a mystery, Big Mama Thornton's is less so. In 1953, the singer released Hound Dog, written specifically for her by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, who wanted to showcase Thornton's booming voice and bawdy personality. Her definitive version of the song was a hit, quickly selling 500,000 records. A few years later, Presley recorded a cover and sold millions, overshadowing Thornton. And to make matters worse, Thornton barely made any money off the song. I got one check for $500 and never saw another, Thornton said. Oh, boy. So, yeah, basically, that's it. It just goes on to say that she would perform the song later in her years, and she soon became embittered by Presley's success, according to biographer Michael Spork, who wrote Big Mama Thornton, The Life and Music, during 1969 performance of at the Newport Folk Festival. She referred to Hound Dog as the record I made Elvis Presley rich on. At another concert, she called it a song I got robbed of. And yet another, she launched into the song, then stopped, turning around and glaring at the drummer. "This ain't no Elvis Presley song, son," she would say. Then she would kick the drummer off his seat and showed him the right way to play it, giving him a lesson in front of the audience. This was apparently a regular occurrence, a theatrical way for Thornton to pull the song out from under Presley's shadow, long before Lerman or anyone else tried to do it for her. So there you have this article from Vanity Fair, read pretty much in its entirety. What did black artists of the era really think of Presley? All right, and again, this is written by Johanna Desta. I want to give credit where credit is due. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments if you would like. Did you feel that was a fair article? Did you feel it was objective? Did you feel it was subjective? Did you feel it was possibly a little bit of both? Curious. Again, I really don't have too much to say on this subject because, as far as I'm concerned, if Elvis was racist, worst racist ever. Worst. Just too many things that point in quite the opposite direction. And I really don't need to defend him nor give any examples, because if you want, you can go and search for yourself. So we'll leave it at that. All right. But if you would like, leave a comment. I appreciate you watching. Good to yourselves. Good to each other. Take care, everybody.